My ex-husband won't allow our daughter to be in my wedding, so I took action.
No wonder he's the ex-husband.
And there is a trigger warning for verbal abuse and mentions of a physical altercation. I need to give some backstory. My husband, 37 male, and I, 37 female, divorced 6 years ago after he cheated on me with a college freshman and left me for her. Wonderful. We have 2 daughters, Emily, 16 female, and Gabby, 8 female. We were happily married for 10 years before everything fell apart. By the way, this comes from user LessSentence4323, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, the divorce wasn't just about his cheating. He said he hated me, that I looked ugly, and made cruel comments about my body that I won't repeat. You can imagine the pain. It gave me serious trust issues that I'm still working through in therapy, but thank God you're in therapy.
We love therapy.
Emily knew why we divorced and resented her father for it, but Gabby was too young to understand. Despite being a terrible husband, he was a good father, so we shared custody. The girls stayed with me Friday through Monday. I tried my best as a single mother, but I would spiral sometimes. I've been in and out of therapy since divorce. 4 years ago, I met my now husband, Ben, 41 male. We worked in the same building, and he found me crying on the office roof on what would have been my wedding anniversary. That same day, my ex had chosen to marry his affair partner. Ben listened to my pain and stayed with me the entire day, even driving me home because I was too emotionally unstable to drive. Ben had lost his wife and only daughter in a car accident 10 years earlier. Oh my God. He was incredibly fond of my daughters. Emily started calling him Dad after a year of dating, and Gabby calls him Daddy Ben. I was finally healing and becoming myself again. We welcomed our son a year ago, and my girls were thrilled to have a brother. Ben proposed while I was pregnant, and we've been planning our wedding since. Emily is one of my bridesmaids, and Gabby is my flower girl. Since Emily is old enough to choose where she lives, there's no custody issue with her. But Gabby still goes back and forth between houses. My wedding is in 2 weeks, scheduled for a Tuesday, which is normally my ex's custody day. Initially, my ex was fine with the wedding plans. I spoke to him multiple times, asking him to drive Gabby to my mother's place, but now he refuses. He says he only gets to see his daughter 3 days a week and won't give up his time for some party. I offered to give him my days for an entire week in exchange, but he still refuses. I can't change the date because everything is already booked. We've argued constantly, and I can't handle any more emotional pain. Gabby would be heartbroken because she's so excited to be the flower girl. Any advice, please? And there are comments. OP, your ex is using your youngest daughter to get to you. It's not about her or the wedding. It's about pushing buttons. He knows how to do it, and he's found one to push. Another commenter has the right answer. I learned it the hard way. In total disclosure, my ex did something similar. I thought she was above that, but she wasn't. My 4 kids didn't go to my wedding to my second and current wife. They hold that against her still 23 years later. Karma sucks sometimes. As a last-ditch effort, contact the attorney you used when you got divorced and see if they will draft a letter to him reminding him that events in parents' lives are usually negotiated between the willing parents for the good of the children. Maybe a letter will adjust his thinking. If not, I'd follow D-Locator's advice and send a final text, then let it go. I'm not sure how he's going to explain to the youngest why the older can go and she can't, but that's his anchor. And if younger asks you why, tell her Dad's pushing for you to not be there. I want you there. He does not. Firmly point out that this is on him and not you. Congrats on the upcoming wedding. Focus on the day, not the absolute idiot messing with you. And there is an update. Let's hope it's for the best. It's been hectic since my last post. I went to pick up Gabby on Friday, and Emily was furious. She told me that Gabby had been throwing a tantrum because their father lied to her, telling her they would go on vacation on my wedding day. Gabby said no because she was excited to be my flower girl. I was livid. This coward wanted to manipulate my daughter so she couldn't be at my wedding. I stormed into his house with my fiancé Ben and demanded to see Gabby. I told him he was a coward for not being honest about why she couldn't attend the wedding, and that if he didn't tell her the truth, I would. I had screenshots of our messages on my phone. Surprisingly, he caved and told her the truth. Gabby started crying and said she hated him. My ex wasn't having it. He grabbed Gabby away from Ben, calling her a brat who didn't appreciate her dad. I saw red and pushed him away. He called me a witch, and his wife came out trying to handle the situation. A physical altercation broke out between him and Ben. Emily was smart enough to record everything from a distance. My ex kept shouting that he wouldn't let my daughter go with me, but I reminded him this was my custody time. Eventually, he agreed to let Gabby stay with me until after the wedding. I have his messages confirming this agreement. When we got home, Emily asked if we could keep Gabby permanently because she didn't want to live with their dad anymore. When I asked why, she revealed that their father had been increasingly angry since I started dating Ben. At first, it wasn't extreme, but then he began insulting me behind my back, saying I had downgraded by dating Ben. He became even more agitated when he learned I was pregnant, pressuring his wife to have children and causing fights between them. Emily also told me he would lash out at Gabby, scolding her for small mistakes and forcing both girls to call his wife Mom. Emily refused. She said the only reason she ever went back was to protect Gabby, knowing her little sister had to stay there. I cried and asked why she hadn't told me. She said she saw how happy I was with Ben and didn't want to burden me. And open, honest communication is always key in every situation. Never forget that. I never wanted my daughter to carry that weight. While I'm proud of her protective instincts, she should have told me. I'm their mother, and protecting them is my job. I had planned to let Gabby stay with her father during my honeymoon so he wouldn't complain about not spending enough time with his daughters, but now I'm reconsidering everything. I'm really stressed with the wedding next week. And there is a second update. I think you definitely have to bring this information to the courts or whoever authority is saying that this agreement needs to be kept. 100%.
Push for sole custody. If the kid doesn't, I don't know how it would work exactly, how much weight the kid would have on it, because like the parents like agreed to equal custody, so I don't know what that fight would be like. But if the kid is saying it and there's like evidence that the dad is getting more aggressive, is getting angrier, is belittling the mom behind her back, I feel like a good lawyer could get that in their favor.
Update number 2. I took everyone's advice and filed for emergency custody. I contacted a lawyer to pursue full custody of Gabby. Emily is a key witness, and she saved the video she recorded. My lawyer said while I shouldn't have gotten physical with my ex, it could be considered self-defense since he was hurting and scaring Gabby. I was able to get emergency custody quickly. My lawyer believes I have a strong case for full custody given the video evidence and Emily's statement. But I know my ex won't give up easily, but neither will I. I'm postponing my honeymoon until this is resolved. Despite the stressful week, I managed to cheer up Gabby, and my family was incredibly supportive. We did have our wedding, though some of the joy felt stripped away by the drama. Nonetheless, I felt truly special that day. My first marriage was rushed because of an unplanned pregnancy, but this one felt right. I got to wear a beautiful gown and walk down the aisle. My daughters enjoyed it immensely, and I was grateful to have Ben by my side. I'd always worried that no man would want me with all my baggage, but he stood by me through my worst moments. As for my ex, he's a lost cause. He's been sending hateful messages to Ben and me, so we blocked him. 2 days before my wedding, my former in-laws visited. My ex-mother-in-law wanted me to drop the case and not take their grandchildren away from their father. Yeah, shut all the way up with that. Go talk to your son about that. But my ex-father-in-law supported me, saying his own son was a danger to himself and the kids and shouldn't be allowed near children at all. W father-in-law. When my ex-mother-in-law tried to argue, he shouted, "Do you care more about your pathetic son or the safety of your grandchildren?" At least someone understood. My ex's wife has moved out, saying she's too good to be a stepmother to some ungrateful brats. Great. She's still in her 20s, so I understand her perspective somewhat. And by the way, you can understand every perspective under the sun by listening to full episodes with stories just like this one on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime, and you can listen to the full archive. There is a little bit more story left. Honestly, I feel like everything has happened here perfectly. Like you said, the father-in-law, the ex-father-in-law saying that means a lot, and it should really make his own son reflect if he knows that that's being said. But I think there's a great chance that you're getting full custody here and, just leave your ex in the dust where he belongs. Let's finish this story. People have asked why I booked a date that conflicted with custody arrangements. The venue was only available that day. Okay, shut up everybody being like, why did you not plan your wedding around your custody agreement with your terrible ex? It's like, because it's an exception and it should be made. Like, what? It's crazy.
What if just that day was special to them in their relationship?
Yeah, just ridiculous. The venue was only available that day, and we'd already postponed once due to my pregnancy. I didn't think my ex would react this way, especially since when he married his mistress, he took our girls out of state for 2 weeks for his destination wedding. I checked with him multiple times before booking, and he was fine with it until 2 weeks before the ceremony. I know people have called me a bad mother for not noticing the problems earlier. I have no excuse. I was so consumed with my new life that I didn't thoroughly check on my girls. My children should never feel that sharing their problems will disrupt my life because their problems are my problems. I apologized to both Emily and Gabby, and they were kind enough to forgive me, but I'll always carry the guilt of not seeing the signs sooner. And that is the end of that story. And you know what? Honestly, I'll give you a little grace there, OP, because kids are really good at hiding stuff. It's kind of their whole job until they get one. Until they get an actual job, their job is to hide everything from you.
And OP already said, like, when they were married, even though he was a terrible husband, he was still a good father to the kids.
Right.
So OP didn't necessarily have any reason to suspect that that had changed.
Exactly.
Especially if the kids aren't showing signs or saying anything, or if, like, nothing is physical, because it seemed like mostly it was just emotional abuse so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everything happened at the perfect moment so that it didn't get any worse.
I stopped doing favors for my ex because he refused the only one I asked for.
I only asked you this one time, and you can't do it.
Can't do it. Just can't do it. This is kind of sweaty, but my 30 female ex-husband Greg, 38 male, and I have 2 kids, Louisa, 9, and Ted, 7. We divorced over 5 years ago and co-parent very well. The divorce was because I was happy with our 2 children, but he wanted more, and even therapy didn't help. We've had basically no issues. There's no child support, we're 50-50, have never had issues having the kids if the other parent has something come up, and understand that it's just about making sure their lives aren't too disrupted. And by the way, this comes from Life of the Party XO, and if you want to submit your own stories, just go to the r/storytime subreddit and go from there. So, Greg remarried Tessie, 38 female, 4 years ago, and they have another child, a boy, and another about to make their appearance in the world in a few weeks. I am marrying my fiance, Luke, 36 male, in February. We've been together for about 3 years, and he's known my kids for 2. We moved in together last year. We have a group chat, but aren't overly friendly or anything. We only talk about the kids and keep it pretty lighthearted. Our only rules with the other dating is that we would introduce our partners to the other before they met the kids, which went great with both of them. When Tessie and Greg married, I obviously kept the kids an extra week for their honeymoon and scheduled for my actual week so they could settle in. They didn't live together before they got married. When they had their first baby, I kept our kiddos for about a month, but brought them over for a few times to see their new brother, obviously, so they could settle in since it was Tessie's first baby. A few weeks ago at one of Lacey's games, Tessie told me the date her C-section was scheduled for, which was in the middle of their custody week. I told her we were excited for both of them, and of course I could keep them that week and my following week, and we could go back to normal their next custody period. She kind of hemmed and hawed and asked if we could keep them for another custody week to give them a month again to get used to things. I said that was fine. I didn't expect them to need that much time for their second baby, but C-sections are major surgeries, and I said I'd be happy to keep the kids. They don't live far from us, so bringing them over to hang out won't be too out of my way, and of course I love having my kids with me. Anywho, we've finalized our plans for our honeymoon, which is 3 weeks. I know it seems excessive, but it's something on both our bucket lists, but not something the kids would be too interested in, and the honeymoon seems like the best opportunity to do it. Basically, what would happen would be that we'd get married on Saturday, my week, the kids would stay with Greg that night and stay for his week, then they would keep them for our week and their next. So they'd have them for one of my custody weeks plus one extra evening. I don't have family around. My parents passed away young. Grandparents before them, and the aunt and uncle who helped raise me retired to New Mexico, a 3-hour plane ride, and a 2-hour drive at minimum. I have friends who have watched the kids before, but I didn't see a single issue with asking Greg to keep them for a week since it seems like there's a bit of a precedent. I texted him the general plan and emailed him a more detailed one with locations, dates, times, etc., so he could know where we were and how to contact us if there was an issue. I thought all was well and good, but they never responded until a few days later. They emailed me what Luke and I jokingly now refer to as the manifesto.
Oh, man. It's just like, give them an inch and they take a mile. Classic.
Especially after they've given you the mile before.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you had to take care of the kids, not that you didn't want to, but for a month, and they won't take, like, what, an extra week in a day?
Yeah, it's just kind of like can't we all just work together here?
It was long, rambling, repetitive, and still somehow partially written by ChatGPT. The gist of it was, what kind of mother goes on a 3-week vacation without her kids? I'm a terrible person in general for asking a young mother to have her stepkids full-time for 3 weeks while I go and enjoy myself. They/she kept calling Tessie a young mother. I think she means mother of young kids, and I know it's not the point, but it also kept annoying me. Also, it wouldn't be alone with her. Greg would obviously be there. I am a horrible co-parent for asking them to have the kids for 3 straight weeks while their kids are so young. Their newest baby will be 6 months old by then, by the way. Let's not forget these are also Greg's kids, too.
Yeah, these aren't just strangers' children. They're your children. They're your children.
Apparently, it's all well and fine that Luke and I don't want any more kids. He has had a vasectomy and known he didn't want kids of his own for a while. But we'd better not think that gives us permission to dump Louisa and Ted on them to gallivant around. I don't think I've ever gallivanted in my entire life. We needed to figure our own weeks out ourselves. This was not life or passing. It was ridiculous to ask them. I got petty after this, especially them acting as if we were constantly dumping the kiddos on them. So I went through the last 4 years of texts and made a spreadsheet of how many times either of us has asked the other to keep the kids and the duration on an Excel sheet. Oh, you know things are about to go down when you break out the spreadsheets.
We're breaking out the spreadsheets. We're about to get the receipts going.
While we both have made these requests, they have done so for 87 nights, 52 times, versus me, 12 nights, and 8 times. Obviously, this makes sense since they have a baby, and I didn't send it to them or anything, but it was just good to know that I'm not crazy. My friends say I should tell them that, fine, I won't keep them during their custody time after their new baby comes. I'm not going to do that. I love my kids and want to see them as much as I can. But I do a lot extra for them, and just some examples. I, sometimes Luke, if he's off work, pick up the kids every single day after school, and on Greg's custody weeks, I drop them off at their house since he doesn't get off until 5, so that Tessie doesn't have to take the baby out to pick them up. Keep in mind, she does not work anymore. Our divorce decree says that whoever's week it is must drop off the kids at the other parent's house. But I've been doing all of the back and forth for a while again because they have a kid and because it's not that far. A 5-minute drive, a 20-minute walk if it's nice. I take the kids to all of their appointments, do all the school parent stuff during the day and etc. since I have a super flexible schedule and Greg's isn't. He would need to use PTO for all of this stuff. We usually split health insurance per the divorce decree. They're on his work insurance, but since I take them to all their appointments, etc., I pay all of the copays. I keep a tally just in case I would end up owing him money, and I know what he pays towards the premiums. And in the past, it was minimal, but our daughter unfortunately has type 1 diabetes, which has gotten pretty expensive. It wasn't unaliving me, but Greg mentioned how tight money was once I was bringing it up, and I decided that it's not affecting my life. Our daughter needed it, so I've been letting it go. Their son has been in the process of being diagnosed with autism and has pretty bad meltdowns. This is all I know from Greg. So they call me pretty frequently to see if I can come and get the kids for a few hours if things are overwhelming. Of course, I love my kids and spending time with them, but I've had to cancel plans for this and they have not cared. Greg was in an accident, has been using my old car. I got a new one and hadn't sold the old one yet. It's not worth a ton or anything. For the past 7 months, with no effort to replace it. By the way, you don't have to worry about replacing anything when you listen to full stories and full episodes of OK Storytime on the any podcast platform you like. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, something newfangled. I don't know. There'll probably be more in the future.
They're out there.
There's an update, but what are we feeling so far? I am not getting the good feelings about this man.
I think it's, to me, it's kind of fair. It's like, I don't know. I think they just need to recognize that you've, done stuff for them. But they do have like, an infant baby and like a special needs son. Um, and it's like that's a lot. But at the same time, it's not like on OP or your ex partner to like pick up that slack. And like, it's not absurd to be like, okay, you can watch your kids for 3 weeks. Like, I know you've got a lot going on, but guess what? It's like everyone has a lot going on.
It's also
So,
like they're your kids and you have another kid you're going to have to care for your entire life.
right. It's like they're
You,
not going anywhere. So you might as well,
yeah.
I mean, for 3 weeks, it's not 3 months, it's not 3 years, it's 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I think the core is just that it's like the good nature is not being reciprocated.
Right. It's an unequal agreement, and it's not, especially what the divorce decree has stated, it's not being honored largely on Greg's part.
Yeah.
Greg travels sometimes for work, and Greg and the kids, have a cat over there. Normally, Louisa would take care of the litter box if Greg was traveling, but since her diagnosis and until we get her labs and health under some form of control, we both agreed that we don't want her messing with it. They let the cat go outside during the day. Since Tessie has been pregnant, she said she shouldn't have to, and Ted is a little young. He tried, failed, and now he helps. Lol. So I've been doing it. Anyway, these are all benefits for them that I'm going to inform them are ending. I won't go back on my word since I have the kiddos after she has her C-section, but the absolute gall of them to not do the one thing I have asked of them and that I've done for them has brought me to this. Most of my friends say I'm not going far enough, but a few have said it might cause a breakdown in our co-parenting relationship, which would affect the kids. That's really the only thing I care about, so now I'm hesitant. And that's the end of it, but what do we think about
Honestly, I think that's
extending?
entirely up to him from the sounds of it. It sounds like you're not going to blow up the co-parenting situation. You're just like, okay, then I guess I'm going to abide by the guidelines in our decree.
Right.
If you're going to be like this has happened with me with like roommates before, where it's like,
Okay.
I'll be like, hey, like we'll be super chill. Like we don't have to be like super, like anal about, every detail of like what's fair and what's not. It's like, we'll split the bills. We'll do this. We'll do that. And then it's like, all it takes is one moment of someone being like, well, actually this. And then it's like,
Mhm.
oh, so we're not actually cool, huh? All right, I guess we're going to have to move about this like we're no longer cool. It doesn't mean that I'm going to like kick you out or like immediately like find someone to replace you. But it's like, I'm not going to be a sweetheart anymore. And I'm not going to
Yeah.
just be cool. I'm like, all right, if that's how you feel about it, then let's figure out exactly what is, what do we need to be doing? What have we all agreed upon? My ex's new girlfriend told me to back off, but we broke up years ago.
That's not my man. I do not claim him. Mm-mm.
Ooh, I wonder if he's got some other girl who's trying to talk to him right now, and she thinks it's OP. A few days ago, my 30 female ex's 32 male new girlfriend, 27 female, texted me out of the blue and told me, at first politely and then not so much, to back the F off and not contact my ex anymore because apparently it's disrespectful and I should be over it by now. By the way, this comes from Dimension Honest 732, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, for some context here, my ex and I broke up roughly 6 years ago, but we're still friends. Why? Well, because we didn't have a reason not to. Our breakup wasn't a dramatic one, just two people who'd been together since their late teens realizing they wanted different things out of life. But since we still got along great and he had his daughter, my niece, who I basically helped raise, we decided to stay friends. The reason his girlfriend's message surprised me as much as it did is that A, it came really out of the blue, I didn't even know she had my number, and B, she has absolutely zero reason to be suspicious or anything. My ex and I do still hang out, yes, but always with either my niece or other friends. And on occasion, we go to school events for my niece, like when she has a performance or something. I genuinely don't think I've done anything with him one-on-one since, I don't know, since before our breakup, I think. The most one-on-one he and I ever do is when he drops off or picks up my niece. She has a room at my place, in case that matters, and we wait for her to get her things, but that's all. Also, his girlfriend and I have met before at my niece's, and then my ex's birthday, and she was nice both times. We didn't talk much, just regular, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. What a lovely dress. Okay, bye. So I didn't think she had any issues with me. On top of that, I'm dating someone new too. So yeah, I'm not sure what her deal is at all. But when she texted me, my butt was halfway to giving my ex a ring and telling him to maybe have a chat with his girlfriend because something is definitely wrong. But another part of me really doesn't want to interfere with his relationship like that. That would have actually been the funniest thing ever if, after being told to stay away from her boyfriend, you call him and tell him to check his girlfriend. My ex is a good dude, and from what my niece told me and from what I've seen at the last 2 birthdays, he really adores her. Like, he genuinely gets puppy eyes when he looks at her, which that stoic man never does. He deserves to be this happy. He really does. And most importantly, my niece likes her too. That wasn't the case with 2 other girlfriends he'd had since we've broken up, so this is a huge issue I need to consider too. Telling him would put all of this in jeopardy, but like, what else am I supposed to do? I'm definitely not going to cut contact with either my niece or my ex just because she wants me to. No effing way. But she was rather insistent on the matter, so I don't think she'll leave it alone either. My flatmate is team tell him and get it over with, but she's with love a bit of a jerk, so I'm hesitant to take her word on anything. There is an update, but I mean, are we sending a message? Are we just going completely like ghosting and waiting for him to reach out? Like, what's the move?
There's just so much toxicity here between, I think, that relationship. There's something that OP is unaware of that sparked this that is going on.
Yeah.
Maybe like it's something that maybe the ex-boyfriend isn't even aware of. Like, what if he said her name in his sleep?
Ooh, or like, imagine he said something like, like OP would have never said that to me. Ooh. Or like some kind of comparison of being like, oh yeah, well that's funny that you say that because my ex wouldn't have said that to me. That's crazy. If it's me, I'm probably like just sending a text or maybe even just making that call, being like, hey, your girlfriend just let me know she's really uncomfortable with the way I talk to you, so I guess I'm gonna respect that. Well, let's see what's in the update here. Hey again! I thought I'd give you guys a little update in case any of you are interested. First, I did end up calling my ex after I came back from work last night. I was insanely nervous because I still felt and still do feel bad about rocking the boat, but yeah, you guys were right. It should be his decision if he wants to cut me off, not his girlfriend's. Now, after some regular chatter, I went in and told him what happened, and even read him some of the messages his girlfriend had sent me. He didn't say as much as I did. Not that I expected him to. That man has a daily average of 15 words, 25 if he's feeling very chatty, and mostly just listened quietly. I couldn't gauge his reaction, so I kind of ended up rambling and mentioning some of the things you guys had advised me to. You know how he can step back if that's what he needs. I'd respect his decision on that, but how I'd appreciate it if we could keep my niece out of it and all that. The latter part is kind of where he spoke up, mostly this to snort, "You idiot," and then he told me he already knew that she had texted me because my boyfriend told him. They're friends and coworkers. My boyfriend apparently noticed that I was more upset than I wanted to let on and asked my ex to call me because something happened between OP and your current girlfriend. Well, which makes sense, by the way. I've asked my boyfriend if my behavior with my ex was ever uncomfortable or inappropriate after that girlfriend texted me, just to make sure I wasn't doing something wrong without being aware of it. And I've been stewing over this mess for like nearly a week. So yeah, not surprised my boyfriend noticed something was up. My ex chose to wait until I said something myself before breaching the topic though. My boyfriend didn't tell him what exactly happened, but my ex sort of figured it was something like her telling me to cut contact. He then once again told me that I'm an idiot and that I should have told him immediately because this wasn't on. The two of them, so he and his girlfriend, talked about this before, even before they officially got together, and he'd made it very clear that there was no way he'd be cutting me off because I've been his friend before I was his girlfriend, and I've stayed his friend for long after that, and because I'm basically my niece's mom, or the closest thing that she has to one. So before they started dating, he told her that she'd have to be cool with that. He'd understand if she wasn't, but he was not going to change his mind because I've done the legwork and she hasn't. Now, according to him, she was absolutely fine with it and even told him that she really liked me and wanted to get to know me more after the birthdays I had mentioned previously, so he doesn't know what has gotten into her now. I asked him if she mentioned something else at a later time, like something I did or said made her uncomfortable or feel insecure, but he said no. She also didn't hint at anything. And yes, I asked multiple times with examples just to make sure, because respectfully, my ex isn't great at taking hints at all. His brain is wired strictly forwards, so anything slightly obscure does not ring any bells in his wee head.
My thought here is maybe the new girlfriend has friends who are putting thoughts in her head.
Yeah, that's always probably a good, suspicion number one would be the friends, or maybe she just like saw like a video online or something where it's like, if you're, like a TikTok where it's like, if your ex, like the 3 giant warning signs, 3 red flags with your current boyfriend, if he talks to his ex. But anyway, as we chattered on, still trying to work out what could have ticked her off, he suddenly got really quiet, and I was like, dude, are you there? And then he said that he may have an idea what did it for her. He didn't tell me what, though, because he said it's a conversation he needs to have with her first, so I didn't ask further. He did assure me that it was nothing I did, though.
He mentioned her in his sleep.
Oh, no. We pretty much left it at that, and he told me he'd have a chat with her and see what's up, and depending on what it is, he'd let me know. So now we wait. Oh, and we both kind of hope that she left it at contacting me and didn't talk to my niece about this. She's kind of been in a funk all week, but keeps telling us it's nothing. So we kind of assumed it was hormones or stress and told her to take it easy. But since the dates of her bad mood and the girlfriend messaging me line up, we're a bit worried that she mentioned something or asked my niece to cut me off or whatever. Anyways, thanks for the advice you guys gave me and for telling me to just get it over with. I genuinely don't think I would have done it otherwise. If I hear anything interesting, I'll let you guys know, but until then, I think this is it. There's a edit, more info. I think a lot of people are confused by my niece being my niece and also my ex's kid. Sorry, should have reiterated that before things got muddled. A short stack of facts. My ex is a young dad. He and I got together roughly a year after she was born, but he only introduced me to her when she was 2.5. Since I was still pretty young then, I wasn't super comfortable with being called mom, so my niece, quote unquote, ended up calling me auntie. This stuck as she still calls me aunt to this day, and I call her niece, but we're not related by blood. Her bio mom is not and has never been in the picture. I did all the mom things, from potty training her to seeing most of her first to going to her parent-teacher conferences and whatnot. This is why my ex says I'm the closest thing she has to a mother. And by the way, we'll mother you. If you listen to full episodes with stories just like this on your favorite podcast platform, whatever it is, just search OK Storytime, and you can listen to the full archive of juicy stories just like this one.
Okay, story time is like family.
OK Storytime
Only
is a family.
Closer.
I don't know if we're going to get an explanation here, but I think you're right. I think something happened where it's like he mumbled her name or something in his sleep, and now she's getting like hyper defensive or something.
Mm-hmm.
That I think is culprit number one. So let's finish this story. To finish it up, my ex and I did not break up recently. We broke up 6 years ago because we wanted different things in life. We stayed in contact because we've always been friends first, and most importantly, because of my niece. These days, my niece comes to stay with me at least every other week, sometimes more, sometimes less, because my ex and I are both chill with her choosing for herself, and she has her own room at my place. And that is the end of that story. I would put I'd put so much money down that it was something he said in his sleep or something. The way that he went, like that long pause of like, I think I know what this is. And it's definitely not your fault. I think I know what this is. Like,
it's something really stupid and like really minor or something really unintentional.
Yeah.
And something very embarrassing for him.
Yeah, probably.